Taylor Swift has the Swifties, Billie Eilish has the eyelashes, Beyonce has the beehive, and yours truly, that's me, has Triers. It's our exclusive members group. First looks, first listens, unreleased music, unreleased video, well, only to the Triers. And on Fridays, every Friday, we give away new merch, exclusive merch, limited merch. There are giveaways all the time. It is a community, and it is free for you for 1 month. Hey, I believe in investing in you because you are investing in me. It's hard. Money, it sucks. And I know times are tough for everyone. And for you to even consider spending your hard-earned money and investing in me and what I'm doing, then damn, I better show up. And that is what the Triers Club is. More importantly, it's community. But first things first, it's 1 month free. Click in the show notes right now and sign up for a free month's membership. Try it out. If you love it, I would love for you to stick around, but you have nothing to lose. I'm giving that right now to you. Community. I can release music. I can release merch. I can release all the unlimited everything, but without community, it's pointless. It really is pointless because the community, that's what we long for. We want to feel a part of something, and it is the Triers Club. This club, I need you to help continue making it something incredible. Sign up right now. Click the link in the show notes right down there. It is a free month for you. You're able to experience unreleased music on Monday, videos on Wednesdays, and giveaways on Friday every single week. So you get 4 weeks of that. And if you continue to love it, then I would love for you to stick around. And speaking of merch, you can check out the store. That's all available. And you can find out about shows. Don't even get me started on the shows. And you get the first dibs on tickets when they go on sale. Triers right now. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure that you know about it. I want your help to create this community and help make it something incredible. I want it to be so incredible that watch out, eyelashes and beehives and Swifties, because it's you, it's me, it is YDT. And it is episode 200 of YDT, a show which pulls back the curtain, takes down the walls brick by brick, and exposes the true hearts of those caring for those you love most. Yes, 200 episodes. That's a lot. That's a lot of episodes. There are 52 weeks in a year. And there were times when we were releasing an episode a week. Not only that, but 2 episodes a week. It's been a pretty wild journey, and I'm grateful for you to be a part of it. And I can't think of a better person to have on the 200th episode than none other than Michael Hunter. You know, social media is amazing. It could be very amazing if you allow it to be. And I want to say thanks again for listening to Villain, my brand new single. It is out right now streaming. Have you had a bully in your life? Are you the bully? I'm not asking you to tell on yourself, but we've all experienced the bully. And versions of us, untruths, half-truths, things have been shared about us, and it's none of our damn business what people think or feel or say about us. Because how they think or feel or say should not dictate the way that you think of yourself. And that is what Villain is all about. Paint whatever Bob Ross photo of me, of you, that you want. I hope that you think that, right? I don't care, because I know that I'm valuable. I know I'm worth it, as are you. Stream Villain wherever you stream your music. I would be honored if you checked it out, shared it with a friend. I'm about to sneeze. This is episode 200 of YDT. Let's jump in. That sneeze came from, like, the heels of my feet. Scrolling through TikTok, I met some incredible people. Mel, Kayla Diamond, and Michael Hunter. I was listening to this man talking about you manifest it. And people say, and he used the word woo-woo, which you'll hear, and I love that description. Because we talk about, if you say it, you speak it into existence, it's real. And we get into the weeds in regards to manifesting. And I want you to check this out, because we talk about venting. Is it good or is it bad? We talk about all kinds of things, but I was in this place and I found Michael, and I'm honored that I did. And I'm glad that we've connected. And without further ado, I will step out of the way. This is my incredible conversation with my new friend, Michael Hunter. It's true because I every time I drive past a Pacifica or Honda Odyssey, I'm like, is there a dead person in there? So ridiculous. Yeah, that's my life. What happened like well, you say 18 months ago, but you went from broke and like where were you if you don't care to share that with me?
So I was working as an acupuncturist. I'd been an acupuncturist for like 25 years, and I had just my then wife and I had our first child, our only child, and I just started to get into the stresses of parenting and working and feeling like I needed to really, you know, put nose to the grindstone and earn money and support this family. Um, and I got totally stressed out and off balance and away from practices that I had already known about for almost 10 years. And I got sick. I started to get this autoimmune disorder, and my health just started to spiral down. And I started to not be myself. My wife and I started fighting. We eventually split up, and I was separated from her and from my daughter. And then we got divorced, and my health just took such a dive. And I was broke and in debt and going nowhere. And I just finally woke up and said, "Hey, I have to take control here. I have to be the master of my own fate, or I could die from this. Like this could lead to me dying." Um, and so I just slowly crawled my way out of it. I started exercising every day. I hadn't been doing that, and just started getting up at 5 a.m. every day and going for a run. And then I started lifting weights, and I started feeling better. And um, within like 9 months, I checked with the doctor, and the autoimmune thing was off the radar, no longer there. Um, I did get divorced, so that sucked. That was really hard. But I just kind of got myself together after that and just focused on being good and getting my career back going. And yeah, I just started feeling good and employing all the methods of the law of attraction, just being really intentional about it, really sincere about it, and being in charge of what I thought, said, and felt, and just being totally dedicated to not letting any more negativity or complaining come out of my mouth. And before long, I started having like this real sense of optimism around me. And then I started having these chance meetings that led to amazing developments in my life, which I'm totally happy to share with you,
I
like the path of
I would
growth in
love
my
that. I think
finances.
it's
Yeah.
it's
So
scarily aligns. I know all of our paths are unique, and I do not ever like to say I know how you feel or that's exactly because that is well, but
yeah,
I relate to what you're saying in a lot of senses, with the divorce and so forth. But I would absolutely love, because you take back over 18 months, and 18 months when you say it now is such a short time, right? But in that
yeah,
18 months,
yeah,
a lot
a lot
happened
happened.
and it felt like an eternity, probably more times than not. But I would love to know what how you started to just take.
Yeah. So like I said, I was exercising, my health was back, and I was working in my acupuncture practice again, and I started just following my bliss, and I got really psyched about possibly shooting my own video to cover my work in acupuncture. So I bought a halfway decent semi-pro video camera and just started playing around with it and getting used to how to use it. And I was feeling really good, like feeling really optimistic about my life. And I was on a plane flying from San Francisco to New York, and I sat next to this guy, and we just got to chatting, and he asked me about myself, and shared with him my passion that I was like getting into videography and totally loving shooting video. And he revealed that he was a business owner. He owned a networking business in Silicon Valley and was looking for someone to shoot video for him. I was like, fantastic, I'm your guy. And then he asked if I had ever designed websites, and I said I never have, but I probably could. And he said, well, I'm looking for someone to design a website who isn't a web designer, but someone who can design on one of the consumer platforms and then hand the keys to the website over to me, because I don't want to have to go through a web designer in the future. You seem like a really creative guy. Would you be willing to design the website? So by the end of the flight, I had this job, and he offered me $25,000 to do it. And I was totally blown away, but we had such a good connection. I had arrived on the flight with so much optimism, and I was so interested in his work that I left that with what had been my passion and possibly a side hustle, all of a sudden was a $25,000 job. In about 3 months, I had made the video for him. I finished the website, and I got paid $25,000. So I was all of a sudden climbing out of my financial holes. And then about 3 months after that, I got a phone call from the same guy, and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm selling my company. There's a big company in New York, a big consortium, and they're buying the company for $50 million, and we need the total rights to the video that you made for us. And I noticed that we didn't even sign a contract the last time, and we don't actually have the legal rights. Since you were the creator, a lot of the content in the video belongs to you." And I said, "Yeah, what do I need to do?" He said, "Well, we're going to give you $25,000 for it, and you need to sign a contract so that we have the total rights." Wow, I'll definitely take another $25,000. Thank you very much. So he paid me another $25,000. This is 3 months later. And I don't know, a week after that, I was sitting in a Starbucks in San Francisco, and I was working on my laptop. And now I had a second client, a second video client, second website client. And I was charging another $25,000 for another project to make it. And this was all as a side hustle from my acupuncture practice. So I'm sitting at Starbucks, and there's this couple who are a generation above me. So they're, probably in their 70s, my parents' age. And I'm sitting at a table, and there was 3 extra seats, but it was the only 3 extra seats in an otherwise crowded Starbucks. So I'm sitting there working on my laptop, and they sat down, and we got to talking. They were really interested in me and asking me questions. And again, I'm just projecting optimism because I'm so dedicated to the law of attraction practices. And we get to talking, and they say they had a son my age, and they were really into the work that I was doing. I told them about the side hustle. I told them that I just got paid another $25,000 in cash. And I was so psyched about it. And the guy got really concerned. And he said, "What are you doing with the $25,000 in cash? Are you just blowing it? Or are you just letting it waste?" And I said, "I mean, I have all this debt, so I do need to pay it off. And I'm slowly up spiraling out of my debt, but I was going to use it toward that." And he revealed that he was a hedge fund manager. He said, "Tell you what, I'll do you one better than you just using that $25,000 to pay your debt. Why don't you piggyback onto my hedge fund? I'll let you put the 25 grand in my hedge fund with no fees. So you'll piggyback into the fund with no fees paid, and we'll grow that for you. And you won't need to pay that into the debt. What that money earns will pay your debt." And so now we were like 6 months into this 18-month period. And over the next year, the money that I earned on that original $25,000 plus additional money that I threw into the hedge fund on the piggyback from the next $25,000 that I earned from the next video job. And then the next video job, I put that in there. And by the end of the year, I was out of debt and on my path to being a net worth millionaire, which occurred a few months after that, where my actual net worth was over $1 million in this fund. And I eventually bought a house with that money.
It sounds like when people hear this that are listening, they think this is like a too good to be true thing. And I had a moment yesterday, which I can associate to this, and I'll bring that back up, but it's not just lip service. It's not just you, Michael, were a lucky one, right? You put into
no, didn't feel like it,
and practice this shift of thought, this shift of actions, and talk about the law of attraction. I've heard about it. I attempt to implement it. I don't know how I would say if I'm professional about it, but I like to think that I create an inclusive environment where people feel oh, well, I can approach this gentleman, or this gentleman is safe. Talk about the law of attraction because it's very interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, I've been practicing acupuncture for over 25 years, and acupuncture is based in the philosophy Taoism. And Taoism is the original law of attraction. They were the original authors of the law of attraction. And so I've known about the law of attraction for a really long time, and I've known the practices. And I got off track when my first child was born, like I described earlier. But when I decided to recommit to it, I had this like wealth of resources around how do I implement the law of attraction in my life? How do I implement these practices in my life? And so I went about doing that. And in short, manifestation or aligning with the law of attraction is about being in charge of what you think, say, and feel, and making sure that those are good feeling thoughts, good feeling words, and good feelings in your body. And because the way law of attraction works is when you vibe out good feelings, the universe hears that as a request and goes, oh, they must want more good things to feel. They want more things to feel good about, and more things to feel good about come into your life. That sounds kind of woo-woo and magic, and it is in a way, but a very practical way to look at it is if you take charge of what you think, say, and feel, and make sure that's all good stuff, and you're feeling optimistic because you're insisting that you think optimistic thoughts, you say optimistic things, and you feel optimism in your body. If you insist that that's true, and you go about your day projecting optimism out into the environment around you, it naturally attracts other optimistic people. And optimistic people like to be around other optimistic people. And optimistic people like to give opportunities to other optimistic people. Opportunities don't come your way if you're depressed and sitting in the corner. No one wants to give that guy an opportunity. But if you're optimistic and full of life and full of energy, the opportunities come. And that's how I arrived on the plane when I sat down next to that guy. I was just beaming. And because I was psyched about having a new camera, and I was psyched that I was back working, and I was psyched that I didn't have that autoimmune thing going on anymore. And I was just psyched to be going to New York. I was happy. And I got to talking with him, and he was telling me about his business. And I was just like psyched to hear about his business because I was just being psyched about everything. And in an hour, I totally formed this bond of trust with this guy so that by the end of a 6-hour flight, he was giving me a job for $25,000 that I was underqualified for. But it was all because he trusted my sense of optimism and my sense of enthusiasm, and he wanted that on the project. He's like, I want this guy to make my project because I want that energy in the video and I want that energy in my website. And the website and the video turned out awesome because that's the energy I brought to it. And the same thing with the meeting in Starbucks. Like at that point, I was already so up spiraled because I was on my second $25,000 job that had started out as just a passion project. I just wanted to own a camera and figure out how to shoot video for myself. And in like 6 months, I was all of a sudden onto my second $25,000 job. So when I sat down at Starbucks that day, I was like beaming, just like, life is awesome. I can't believe law of attraction is totally working. I knew that it would, but I was actually living it. I was actually following my life up spiral with increasing momentum. And I was more dedicated than ever to being optimistic in what I thought, said, and felt, and just beaming that out into the world. And when I sat down next to that couple, that's the energy brought into the conversation. That's the energy they aligned with. And that's the energy that came with like, hey, how about you give us the $25,000 to put in this hedge fund? And my money grew exponentially from there.
Wheel. And you absolutely, I believe, will agree. Why do people hop on this Ferris wheel of, I guess you would call it maybe self-pity, self-loathing? It's like they get comfortable. I've gone through extreme life-changing events. Going through a divorce, social media blew up for me. I mean, absolutely just skyrocketed. Running a successful funeral home company, and we posted a video on TikTok, and it went bananas. People came for the funerals post-pandemic because the pandemic, I think, just took so much from so many people. And we're in a day and age where people want to know why, how, what, things, how they work. And people are watching how-to videos, and that's how they stumbled upon funerals. And the joke I say now is they came for the funerals and they stayed for the music because they found the music, right? And so I've always been a creator. Like you, I love to shoot. I love to edit and create. I mean, if I'm not creating, I have this sense of not feeling fully alive. Stephen Pressfield's book, they call them hacks, or where if you're not doing what you are put here to do, then you're doing the world a disservice, and you're kind of a hack in life. But it caused so much turmoil because you can't post 5 videos a day on all the platforms. That's 30 or 40 videos if you think of all the platforms. And then be a successful leader, be successful at home. The divorce is happening, all this. So that's like on the outside, the facade's great, right? And I say all that because all this turmoil was happening, and I got on the Ferris wheel. I did. I got on the Ferris wheel. I sold my company, and last year, literally almost 1 year ago, and I got into this world of self-loathing, self-pity, and it's almost like we get comfortable there, victimizing ourselves.
Right.
Woe is me. And there, I do sympathize and empathize with people who have experienced a lot of sadness and grief, because I'll tell you right now, I think the best thing that ever was afforded me was the opportunity to be a funeral director, to sit with people during their most delicate of times. Whether you have much, whether you have little, the connection is that we are human and we want to feel acknowledged, heard, a sense of community and support. That's what, then you can go deeper and talk about how that's why we celebrate a loved one, is at death, we honor the fact that they lived and people love them, and we want to know that people love them. That's why we create this place. But that, and realizing that people are incredible, was one of the best gifts. And I say all that, and I'm not really sure why, but I think that was a realization when I'm on this Ferris wheel, and I decided to get off of it, and I'm kind of in your 18-month period right now, because you either get busy, you get better, or you get bitter, really. And how do you,
Right.
well, 2 questions. One, why are we so comfortable sitting on this Ferris wheel of loathing and pity? I get, and 2, what advice would you say is the first step to step off?
Yeah. Really good question. I think we get stuck on the Ferris wheel for 2 reasons. It's habit, and a lot of other people are on that wheel in our lives. And so at work, like getting into these shit talking sessions, complaining sessions, just keeps us on the Ferris wheel. You get a little dopamine hit when you're complaining or bitching about somebody, but it really just keeps you on the Ferris wheel. There's this misconception in psychology that you can vent your bad feelings. Like, oh, I got to get this shit out of my body so that I can feel better. But if you think about it, it's not logical. So you think about a different emotion. Instead of venting negative things, let's take a positive emotion like love. If you express all your love to your kids or your loved ones, does it run out? Do you get it all out of your body and you run out and you got to go sleep to refill the tank? No, when you express your love, you just bloom more love. So when you're the kind of person that expresses their love to the people that they love in their life, you're the kind of person that has a lot of love around them all the time. So you make more love by expressing your love. The same thing was venting negative experiences. When you vent and give voice to negative experiences, you just make more negative experiences around you. And it's the law of attraction at work. So what you think, say, and feel sends a vibe out to the universe, sends a vibe out to the people around you, and you attract that exact vibe. So if you're a complainer, if you're a venter, you're going to attract other complainers and other venters, and y'all are going to be spending your lunch breaks venting and bitching about other people and talking shit behind people's backs. And that's the Ferris wheel you're talking about. And to answer the second part of your question, how do you get off? Shut up. That's step 1. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Don't blame other people. Don't blame your boss. Don't shit talk about other people. That's negative talk, and it brings you down. Even though you might temporarily feel empowered by pointing the blame at someone else, it gives away your power. It makes you a victim. And being a victim is a terrible, low power place to be. So step 1, stop talking.
Last year, I'm relating everything to this past year because that is such a significant change in life for me. I mean, going through a change in the divorce alone, I mean, it's a death. It is. I have four boys, 10, 9, 5, and 3. I love them so much, and it's been just one thing after another. But the smartest thing, and it wasn't on purpose. It was because of legal counsel said, "Don't say anything." I've said nothing. And what you just said about shutting up, saying nothing, that's the first step, is critical. It really is, because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
able to. Another thing, when you step off, though, you lose everybody. But if your life has been surrounded by negativity and shit talking and what have you, the moment you step off and you make that change, it becomes pretty lonely pretty quick, because that's what I
Yeah.
did, and everyone goes away, and you're just left, and that's a scary place to be too, because you've been there, right? What do you you have no distraction, because that's what we love. We love distractions. We want to make sure that we're distracted all the time so that we don't have to face the facts. What do you what
Yeah.
because people have dipped their toe, felt that loneliness, and then they step back. What is your thoughts on sitting in it, sitting in the muck? What are your thoughts there?
You know, when I made the determination to be optimistic, to think optimistically, to speak optimistically, and to feel optimistically, I did lose people in my life. But I was so determined to be in that place that before long I started attracting other people into my life, including the woman to whom I'm married now and have been married for over 10 years, and we have another child together. And she's a highly optimistic, amazing human being that I wouldn't have met if I was the sad sack that I was 20 years earlier. But yeah, so I was more focused on being determined to be optimistic than I was focused on being lonely or in touch with people. I just thought I need to be in control of my life. And so that was my focus. And it before long, I was attracting a whole new set of higher vibe, more optimistic people into my life. And that's
Are
who I'm
you
surrounded with
still in
now.
communication with the gentleman on the plane? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Occasionally.
That's really,
Occasionally.
really neat and
Yeah.
special. And it's really true. Being so intentional. Mel Robbins had this, I think she called it the 5-second rule, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she went through this extreme, the story was some sort of depression, and would count down from 5 because she could barely peel herself out of bed. Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about it the same way. I went through that too. Life is tough. It's tough as hell. And
Yeah, it can be.
I think that there's something really beautiful about just being so intentional. You talk about, I was intentional about the way I thought, what I said, and how I felt. Like, people who don't understand that, what are the things that can be implemented out the gate for them? Because that's easier said than done, as far as the quote goes.
Totally. Yeah. So that's why in answer to your earlier question, I said, stop talking, because that's the thing we have the most control over. You can't just stop participating in that complaining conversation. What you think and what you feel, they're a little tougher. It's a little, especially if you don't have any practice. And that's where my acupuncture background came into play for me, and made me really resourced. Was I knew the Taoist meditations, the acupuncture meditations, to be in charge of my feeling state. And there's one that I talk about all the time. It's called the heart-mind meditation, where you drop your attention from your
I stole
head
that the other day
to your
from
heart.
you, just so you know.
And
when you posted that, yep,
great.
I
I'm
told
glad.
it to Marilyn,
Yeah,
and she was like, "Go into detail about this, because this is beautiful. It's beautiful."
Yeah. So the heart, the heart starts beating in a developing fetus weeks before the brain even begins to develop, and the neurology that's in the heart begins to develop weeks before the brain shows up. And so the neurology and the heart itself are first; they're primary on the scene. The brain shows up later. But in our culture, we're conditioned to think that our head is in charge. And the ancient Chinese, the ancient Taoists, knew that the heart was in charge. And if you look at the neurology, the amount of nerve fibers going from the heart to the head are 4 times greater than the number of nerve fibers returning. So that means the number of messages going from the heart to the head are 4 times greater than what the head is responding with. The heart's in charge, man. The heart is the is the seat of the self. And the Taoists believe that, so the Taoists believe that there's an aspect of our awareness that carries on after we die. And in fact, all wisdom traditions agree on that, even Christianity and the Abrahamic religions. Our soul carries on after we die. And the Taoists believe that that soul resides in the heart, that the heart is the seat of the self, the seat of the soul. And so they actually pay attention to this part of the anatomy because like this is where your true self is. This is where your higher self is. It's not up here, it's down here. And when you shift your attention from being up here, which is where most of us live in the modern world, down to our hearts, we're actually aligned with our higher self. We're aligned with our soul just by putting our attention in the heart. And it's a move, it's a meditation move that can be a little difficult at first, but there's tricks to it. So I'll talk you through it right now. Is you just drop your attention from your head to your heart. Pretend you're breathing in and out of your heart. This helps to anchor your attention in the heart area. Just pretend that the breath on the in-breath is coming into the heart, and on the out-breath is exiting from the heart. And what you're cultivating here is a felt sense, a kinesthetic sense of this part of your anatomy, your physical anatomy. So you can even touch your heart to make it feel like more resilient, more in touch with what you're doing right now. So this is being a very physical experience of being in touch with your heart. And just keeping your attention there brings you to neutral. Because your higher self, your soul, knows that everything is okay. Knows that in the big picture, the flow of the universe is well-being. That even though on the ground, life can be hard sometimes, in the big picture, when you finally shed this body and this body goes back to the ecology of the earth and the soul goes into the non-material, to the spiritual, to heaven, wherever your belief system allows you to talk about. That soul, that primary self, is going to a place where everything's okay. And it's going to look back on this life experience and go, man, I wish I had been a little more lighthearted. Because, yeah, things were hard on the ground sometimes, but if I had been more optimistic and had a more lighthearted approach to everything, things probably would have gone a lot easier. I didn't need to be so uptight in my life. And you can achieve that higher level perspective, that soul perspective, by putting your attention where your soul lives, which is in your heart. And that's all the Taoists were saying. And that was their whole key to law of attraction, was be physical about your understanding of your anatomy. Be physical with your attention. Move your attention into the heart area and meditate by breathing in and out of the heart and anchor your attention in this area. And the more you do it, the more you get this felt sense of like, oh, wow, I can really feel my heart in my chest. In fact, you can start to feel it from front to back, equidistant front to back.
The only word I could think is almost euphoric. Really. I felt...
Yeah.
You said grounded, so that's the right word I'll use again. But I recorded a video yesterday, and I was just... I sounded way smarter than I am, but I was talking about 85% of the things that we get anxious about, they never happen. They never, ever, ever, ever will happen. We don't even remember what we were thinking whenever the thing we were anxious about ultimately does happen, meaning the event or whatever that we attend. And the past of us is no longer the version of us, so that's not real. The future doesn't exist yet.
Right.
So all we have is like literally this moment. And in the truest sense, I say all that to say, what you just spoke and talked me and us through was that. Like this, with you, this feeling. It's literally all I have, and it's all we have in this moment. And that right there created this sense of peace and optimism. So that is a really cool tool for those listening, for me to just ground. Do you still participate in this, I guess, regularly, I would assume?
It is the primary tool for feeling better that I use for myself. And I teach a program in law of attraction, a Taoist-based approach to law of attraction. And this is the core practice. And it sounds so simple because I explained the whole thing just now. There's nothing more to it. But the actual practice of it, the repetitive practice, and then we get together in groups and practice it all together, and this really cool increase in the momentum of the group. There's like this group hive mind that gets created. It's a simple but profound practice. It's the core of Taoism, like this profound philosophy that's impacted the entire world, that out of which sprang acupuncture and Chinese medicine. The core of that work is this heart-centered awareness.
When did we make things
That's
so
it.
damn difficult? Really? At what point did we just muddy everything up and say, you got to pay for this conference and read all these books because that'll help you? And, it's almost, here we are talking about only positive thoughts and stuff, but it's almost frustrating. It's like, gosh, like, what do you say to people like me who's just turned 39 and you have all this life that you've lived, and it's what's it for, and it's the sense of starting over, and what do you say to those people? I guess it's, again, just, is it the mind, mouth, and heart thing all over, or I guess that hitting reset? What do you say to those people that might be, I don't know, I'm asking for me, I guess, not for other people. Oh
yeah. Well, just to
sure.
back up a few sentences, you said, feeling positive thoughts all the time. And it's not all the time, actually. And there's value to the negative thoughts. You just want to keep them below 20%. And the value of having the negative thoughts is they tell you what you don't want. Your negative experiences tell you what you don't want in life. And that's really valuable because it helps clarify what you do want. If you don't know what you do want, you don't know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. And so having a heading, having a direction, it's like back when I bought the video camera. I knew at that moment I wanted to make videos of myself and my business. I wanted to master the art of using this camera. And that was my next step destination. And I was super enthusiastic about it. So I knew where I wanted to go. And then that heading kept changing. It became, oh, let me make this project. Let me make this other project. But I knew where I wanted to go every step of the way. And the negative experience that I had leading up to that told me, oh, I don't want this. This is what I don't want. This helps clarify what I do want. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to be involved with something that I was passionate about, even though it was just this video camera that I was passionate about. This feels good. I want to do this. And having the negative experiences helped clarify that. And so that's, I would say, the biggest answer to your question is we don't need to try and just be positive all the time. That's kind of Pollyanna-ish. It's not really reality. It's impossible. But if we can work to keep our negative experiences, our negative thinking and feeling to 20% of our experience, we're doing pretty good.
Really excites you right now, outside of your passion for what we've talked about with the creating? What's something else that's like really exciting for you?
I'm building this program in law of attraction, and I'm so full on into it. It's so gratifying for me because it's an opportunity for me to deepen into this work personally as a way to deliver it to groups of people. And so it's this major win-win that's happening for me. I'm launching this business, and at the same time, like, really having to deepen my own practice and get really pristine with my own practice and the way I talk about law of attraction, the way I talk about manifestation. And I'm just noticing my own life up spiral with even greater momentum than it ever has before. And so I'm just in awe of how these principles actually work. And as I'm talking about these principles and teaching these principles and living these principles, I'm watching it unfold in the most awe-inspiring way.
It's amazing because
it's got my attention.
Whenever I first started and social media is taking off, I'll never forget, because I connected with Kayla Diamond, a producer in Canada, very successful artist and producer. And when we first met, like you, just evoked such positivity, passion, compassion, and I was attracted to her because of social media, and then Mel in Australia. She's a beautiful artist, beautiful person, loves horses. We connected and we stay in touch and two, a positive person. And then Bryce, he left a job where he's making six figures because he was so passionate about learning about e-commerce, and he's killing it. And he is talking in such positivity. And then here I am connecting with you. And so, listener, I'll tell you now, it is real. You will absolutely attract people that you are, if you evoke excitement and positivity and encouragement and love and kindness and inclusiveness, it literally, the world will give it right back. It's real. It's such a beautiful, thing. And I say that because, I had, if you looked at it from a, outside, I don't know, worldly view, I had everything in quotes, all the buildings and the business and the company, and you're at the quote unquote top, and the videos and all that. And then growing up, I had nothing. So I've had nothing and I've had everything, and I wasn't any happier. And I think this season, and just kind of to go back and just kind of wrap it in a pretty bow, just talking about sitting in loneliness and sitting in these thoughts and changing them and doing what you so eloquently stated, and my dumb, I just got better. It really put a lot of things. I hate saying the word perspective, but it just created this. My camera went off, but what an amateur! What an amateur I am. That's amazing. Who knows where it is? There it is. It created for me this. I don't even really know where I'm going with it, but if you look at videos from me from 2 years ago, like stress and grief, it doesn't, you're talking about your autoimmune, it does a number to you physically. My face, I looked like, I was on drugs. I mean, they did photos of before war, the German soldiers before war with their pressed uniforms, and then this 24-year-old young man after war in his face. And I'm not comparing myself to someone in the armed forces whatsoever, but just the level of stress it does. It's ever changing what just simple tweaks can do for one's health and well-being. It really is. What does it feel like to know that you're a part of changing lives, saving, really? What's that? To think that, what does that feel for you?
It feels like an honor to be living a life that feels really good, and that talking about it seems to be helping other people. It feels like a really big honor, and it just, like, the gratitude and the awe just keep spiraling up. And you mentioned something earlier about this stuff works, and it is like the big motions, like that. I get the potential to help other people with this stuff. That feels really big and important and honorable. But there's also the little things that remind me that the law of attraction is always at work. Like, you and I have never met, and I've never seen any of your videos before. And 10 minutes before this interview today, I happened to open TikTok, and a video of you popped up and started playing. And it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen on TikTok. I was cracking up. I sent it to all my friends. I put a huge group text and sent it out. And it's just like, here we're talking about optimism, and I'm having the most up-spiraled optimistic experience 10 minutes before I'm talking to you, and it's you that's causing it. So is that chance? Hell no. Not chance at all. That's the law of attraction at work right there. And it's those little signs in addition to the big thing that I think are worth mentioning, because they're worth paying attention to. So getting to those big up spirals, the pathway there is looking for the little signs. And so, like, you showing up on my video today is one of those smaller signs like, yeah, this is what this is all about. This is the law of attraction at work.
It's important. I say it to, my fans and followers and community that we're building. I say, the world needs you to show up. And I don't know what that looks like for them. I can't say, but showing up is important. And there were days where I had to count down from 5. And there were days of very dark moments for me. And still there are moments of, the tug of war. But showing up, it's literally the step. In that video, for instance, you see, it's funny because I can remember where my head was, and I was struggling to be even positive because I was like, this is dumb, because I personally, when I pull up to a stoplight, and I was just telling you this a little bit ago, when I pull up to a stoplight and I see a van, I'm like, is there a dead body in there? Like, and it's in my head, and I'm like, that's stupid. That's just the funeral director. I mean, no one's going to care. And you're over here talking about sending it to all of your friends in a group text. It's like, get out of your head. Just show up. The world needs you. Just do it. Right? I mean, it's real. That's real. That's beautiful. That's awesome. That encouraged me. And I appreciate that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you make a really good point about just showing up. There's a quality of persistence to this kind of success, to living your life and being happy as you live it. So, like, not making your life a destination, but making it every step of every day, and insisting that you are happy and feeling good every step of every day. There's a quality of persistence to that, a quality of, like, you do have to show up for that. It's a determination. I'm determined. I'm making a sincere, determined effort to be clear right now, to not live in a frantic way. I'm launching this big business right now, and there's a lot to do, and I'm hiring employees, and it's just a lot of swirling around. And I have children, and I notice, like, I'll get to the end of the day and I'm with my kids, and I'm like, totally like, wait a minute, this is not, I don't want to live one moment where I'm like around my kids. And so I down-regulate that as quick as I can using the heart mind meditation. And I can touch my children and be like, no, I'm right here. And I'm loving the fact that I get to be with these young people and get to be in their lives and watch them grow. That is,
and then throw them. Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
That's so true. It's so true. I did that, and I didn't know I was doing that the other day, because I was talking to my music attorney about something, and it's kind of stressful, being an independent artist. And I was all uptight, and I was with all of my kids, and I was like, all right, I gotta reset here. Whenever people ask, what do you do? What do you do for a living? I'll say what I struggle, because I'm like, I'm a musician and content creator. And I say it with such almost insecurity. That's weird, right? Like, what do you say? And what do you say to me? Help me. That's funny.
I mean, hearing you say that feels so out of step with the guy on the video that I saw this morning, because that guy is definitely a content creator, and that guy is making all my friends in New York City crack up right now. I've got so many people responding to that text saying, who's this guy? Is he a stand-up comic? Wow. Like, so
noted.
Yeah.
It's the lies we tell ourselves, I guess. It's
yeah.
I'm a content creator. Like, I everyone listening, own it. Own what you are, who you are. Be excited about that, because that's good enough. And shame on me for questioning.
Yeah,
and I did do that. I have to confess, I did that 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, someone came up to me like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I do, I do music. I mean, what? I've had 2 top 20 Billboard singles. I'm an independent artist. What do you mean you do music? People would well, I shouldn't say that. People would absolutely do anything for that to happen, in the sense of whatever that word is, whatever. I didn't want to say kill. They'd kill for that. No, it's real though. People, I was in Nashville last night. I was invited to this special event that the big pop station and Lakeside Entertainment, the band Shinedown were there. This new artist Knox, who just 2 years ago, he was up on stage. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm kind of new to this. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. One of my songs, you all said on TikTok and did dance for it." And he has the song now. Now it's Sirius X. It's on every radio station. It's not the 1975. He's the guy that sings that song. And then I went into the. It sounds really funny but it was really. I went to the taco stand. I went over to get a taco in this other area of this venue, and there were these three old timers, late 60s, with long beards, and they were talking about playing at they were playing on Broadway the night before, and 4 people were listening to them today. And my point is that I'm making is, I don't know what my point was. Don't know what my point was. We were talking about just, I guess, the thought of just showing up and embracing it and who you are. And it's amazing what happens when you do show up. And also having passion still at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know what my point was, but.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting on something good by naming passion, because, when you say you're a content creator and you're a musician, I'm guessing that content creation and making music make you feel good when you do it.
Yeah, I feel alive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's your zone of genius, Nathan. It's where you expand into your greatest self, and that's what you're here to do. That's what we came into these bodies to live these lives to do. Not to live small, but to exercise this apparatus to its largest extent, to live as fully into these bodies and this bodily experience, which is 80 to 100 years at best. That's what we have. And to really maximize that. So when we do get to that very last day, we can look back and go, yes, I really did it. I left everything on the field. I played this game all the way, and how great it's been.
It scares a lot of people, right? And that's where you're going to get people to jump ship.
Yeah.
And that's the pleasers in us. We want people to like us. We want people to, pat us on the butt and say, "Good job, little buddy." But, but that's also inauthentic in and of itself. Because if you're just being a version of yourself, funeral professionals, there's a lot of people in the funeral profession that listen to this podcast with their natural feeling or feelers. That's what they want. They want to be needed, because they've devoted their lives to essentially being at the beck and call of a total stranger, taking blow after blow, being almost submissive because we don't want to make them mad, because if we make that family mad, or if we make someone in the community mad, and I'm not mocking, but then that family and the next family, they won't choose our funeral home. They'll go somewhere else. That's what the mindset is, right? And so it's an exhausting world to be in. And I say that because I encourage them to be totally themselves, to be kind, considerate, but you have dignity too, right? Don't.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm telling myself that too, because, what people don't know about you, they'll make up. And the more successful, the more people you attract. It's amazing how people are just sitting there throwing everything they can at you. Hope you fall off that stand there. Are you experiencing that too now? Obviously, because
I pay no attention to what other people think about me, because it's such a full-time job to pay attention to what I think about myself and to be sure that I'm thinking good things about myself. And I love when I get comments in my social media feed. People like the videos I'm making on TikTok or wherever, and they have good things to say, and people don't have good things to say.
That's what I mean.
Go
so
right past it.
You'll be scrolling through comments, and it's, living in the comments is, obviously that's a discipline in and of itself, because you acknowledge the kind word, you are grateful for it, yet it should not in any way define any portion of you. And I learned that, again, if I can go back to a year, when you create this company, when you build it rather, and before that I was a touring musician, independent artist, right before social media, I mean, I would go and play. I learned pretty quickly. You go to college towns, you play the sorority house, you do a couple of songs. Where the girls are, the guys show up. So we would pack places out. You know, I was flown to LA talking to major labels. I was signed, I was dropped, I was signed, I was dropped, I was defeated. I was like, well, I guess I'll go home and become a funeral director. So then I started obsessing over being the best and progressive, and I love business and I love that aspect of creating. And um it's just interesting how it created a new identity. Like whenever I sold, it's like,
Yeah.
who am I now? What do I do? What do I do now?
Yeah.
And so I think I say that because nothing that we do defines us. And I think the best thing that ever happened was the past year of life.
Tell me
I
why.
think it was the best
Yeah.
thing that ever happened because it did this massive reset, and it created, because a lot of people listening probably have experienced trauma, and I am the product of 4 generations of abusers and alcoholics and addicts, and I'm none of those things. So I realized I beat that. Childhood trauma and physical, emotional, sexual abuse that I've experienced, I channeled that, and then I, circling back, am not an addict of any kind.
Right.
So I beat that, and then overcoming just the realization that, you know, I'm good enough, and I'm not just a funeral director, and you affirming I am a creator, and I am a musician, and I am a great father, and these are things that, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm tooting my horn. I'm always very hesitant. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be self-righteous or serving, but I think it's okay to pat yourself at points like this, and that is why it's been the best year, and it's been the hardest year. There were days like, and I don't know, you may not want to go, but there were days where I could not walk through a room without breaking down and just being so sad and broken. It was very tough. It was very tough, but I've said it, I believe it with every fiber of my being, that there is victory in suffering.
The victory comes when there's a willingness to turn toward something better, even if you have no idea what that's going to be. There's a freedom, because the suffering, being in the suffering, is a very stuck place, and we've all been there. And the decision to be willing to turn toward the unknown possibility that things can be better, and to be open and to be in the uncomfortable place of, I don't know what's next, but I know that this is not tolerable. That willingness is freedom. It's where all the juice starts to arrive. So yeah, bravo for you for staying on the bus.
Yeah,
for sticking it out.
That is the best advice that I could give anybody listening. And again, you say it so much more beautifully than me, but just continue to show up. Just show up. You know, just choose. If it's a countdown that you need to do to get your ass out of bed, if it's, I don't know, saying in the mirror, I am worth it, I am worth it, I am worth it, I can, I will, I am, you know, that's the first step and a first start. And it's amazing how the laws of attraction that you put into place every day is obviously what attracted me to you. Like, let's get on a podcast. It's amazing, because we were going to podcast, just so you all know, like a couple of weeks ago, and I have not been sick in forever. Like, I'm over here, you know, puking. I eat right. I work out, and I'm healthy as all get out, and I'm over here sick, and I'm like, this is ridiculously embarrassing. It's like calling in. It's like calling in for your child, or your mom calling in for you at school, being sick. It's like, sorry, Nathan can't make it today. So silly. So thanks for bearing with me on that. But, you know, where can people, people really, because I'm just amazed at what you do for so many, and thank you for what you do for me selfishly and personally, but where can people find you if they want to get on this journey with you, where can they go?
Yes, I've got a website for the business. It's upspiral.life.
I'll put all that in the show notes
And
so
you
that
can-
people
you
can learn more about what it is that you've implemented into your life. And I feel that I'm starting to, which attracted me to you, and others can really experience some freedom, like the gift of life. Like life is a beautiful thing if you allow it to be. It really is. Yeah.
It really is.
Well,
Couldn't agree
I'm
more.
grateful. I'm grateful for you making time and pivoting with me, but sharing what you know and your journey and all the people that you're blessing along the way. I'm grateful for you. Really am. I told you, I hope you had a pen and paper because there was some incredible, delicious golden nuggets there. Obviously, you can re-listen to the podcast. So special thanks to Michael Hunter. Thank you for making time for me, for you. I mean, I hope that you are taking away something incredible. Be gentle with yourself. Be positive. Get rid of the negativity. Woo-woo, right? Get rid of all that bad stuff. And join the Triers. Click the link in the show notes. Become a Trier. Help me build something incredible. I need your help. 1 month free on me. Check it out. It's in the show notes. And of course, check out and connect with Michael. The link to is in the show notes. That's all for episode 200. We're going out with a bang. I wish you a very, very happy 4th of July. Remember why we celebrate this holiday as you drive your boat, swim in your body of water, eat that delicious hot dog hamburger, drink that beer, and blow things up. You're loved far more than you could ever know. I'll see you at 201.